Summary of chapter. One of You Become What You Think by Shubham Kumar Singh. Chapter 1 of the book focuses on a powerful idea. Your thoughts shape your personality, actions, emotions, and ultimately your life. The chapter explains that people often underestimate the influence of their own thinking. According to the author, every achievement, failure, fear, habit, and decision begins first inside the mind. The way a person thinks repeatedly becomes the foundation of his behavior and destiny. Books in Brief plus 21. Thoughts Create Reality. The chapter begins by explaining that human beings are deeply influenced by their thoughts. A person who constantly thinks negatively slowly develops fear, insecurity, stress, and hopelessness. On the other hand, a person who develops positive and disciplined thinking becomes more confident, productive, and emotionally strong. The author compares thoughts to seeds. Positive thoughts grow into success and happiness. Negative thoughts grow into doubt and suffering. This means that the mind works like fertile soil. Whatever is planted repeatedly eventually grows. For example, if someone constantly says, "I am useless," he begins to avoid challenges. If someone says, "I can improve," he becomes more willing to learn and take action. The chapter teaches that thoughts are not temporary mental events. They are forces that influence real-life outcomes too. The subconscious mind accepts repetition. One of the key lessons of the chapter is that the subconscious mind accepts repeated thoughts as truth. The author explains that whether an idea is good or bad, if it is repeated enough times, the brain begins believing it automatically. Examples: I will fail. Nobody likes me. I am unlucky. I can never succeed. When people repeat such thoughts daily, their subconscious mind starts shaping behavior according to those beliefs. Similarly, positive repetition can also transform life. I am improving every day. I can learn new skills. I can overcome difficulties. The chapter emphasizes that self-talk matters greatly because the brain constantly listens to internal conversations. 3. You become what you focus on. Another important idea in Chapter 1 is that attention directs energy. According to the author, people who focus only on problems usually feel trapped. People who focus on opportunities become more solution-oriented. The chapter explains that the human mind notices whatever it is trained to notice. For instance, a fearful mind notices danger everywhere. A grateful mind notices blessings. A motivated mind notices opportunities. The author does not claim that life becomes magically easy through positive thinking alone. Instead, he explains that thoughts influence decisions and actions eventually create results. 4. Negative thinking damages mental peace. The chapter discusses how uncontrolled negative thinking harms emotional health. The author explains that overthinking, worry, jealousy, anger, and constant comparison create mental exhaustion. Many people suffer not only because of external situations, but because of the way they think about those situations. Negative thinking can lead to anxiety, low confidence, stress, sadness, hopelessness, procrastination. The chapter encourages readers to become aware of toxic thought patterns before they become permanent habits. 5. Positive thinking is a discipline. One important point made by the author is that positive thinking does not mean ignoring reality. Instead, positive thinking means staying hopeful during difficulties, believing improvement is possible, responding calmly, focusing on solutions instead of panic. The author explains that mentally strong people are not free from problems. They simply train themselves to think differently during difficult situations. Positive thinking is shown as a daily discipline, rather than a temporary motivational feeling. 6. Responsibility for your mind. The chapter strongly emphasizes personal responsibility. The author encourages readers to stop blaming society, luck, family background, failures, circumstances for every problem in life. While external difficulties are real, the chapter says that individuals still control their reactions, their mindset, their effort, their attitude. Two people may face the same problem but respond differently because their thinking patterns are different. One person may quit. Another may become stronger. This section motivates readers to take ownership of their mental world. 7. The influence of environment. The chapter also explains that surroundings affect thinking. The people someone spends time with, the content they consume, and the conversations they hear daily all influence the mind. Negative environments can increase fear, laziness, negativity, hopelessness. Positive environments can increase motivation, discipline, confidence, ambition. The author advises readers to protect their mental space carefully and avoid constant negativity. 8. Self-belief is essential. A major theme of the chapter is self-belief. The author says many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack belief in themselves. People often underestimate their potential, fear judgment, avoid risks, doubt their abilities. The chapter teaches that confidence grows through thoughts and actions together. A person who constantly mentally defeats himself cannot perform well in real life. The author encourages readers to trust their abilities, continue learning, stop comparing themselves constantly with others. 9. Small daily thoughts shape the future. One of the most powerful messages of the chapter is that destiny is built gradually. Life does not change overnight. Instead, daily thoughts create daily actions create habits, habits create character, character shapes destiny. This means even small mental improvements matter. A person who practices positive thinking consistently for months and years slowly transforms his personality and life direction. 10. Practical advice given in the chapter. The chapter also gives practical methods for improving thinking patterns. Observe your thoughts, become aware of repetitive negative thinking. B. Use positive self-talk, speak to yourself with encouragement instead of constant criticism. C. Practice gratitude, focus on what is already good in life instead of only what is missing. D. Read positive material, good books, and uplifting ideas influence the subconscious positively. E. Avoid toxic influences, reduce unnecessary negativity from people and media. F. Visualize success, imagine yourself improving and achieving goals. These practices are presented as tools for mental transformation. Main message of Chapter 1. The central lesson of Chapter 1 is your mind is the starting point of your life experience. The author wants readers to understand that changing external life begins with changing internal thinking. If a person changes thoughts, improves beliefs, controls self-talk, and develops self-awareness, then gradually his actions and life outcomes also begin to change. Final conclusion. Chapter 1 of You Become What You Think teaches that thoughts are extremely powerful. The chapter encourages readers to become conscious of what they repeatedly think because repeated thoughts eventually become beliefs, habits, and reality. The author motivates readers to think positively, take responsibility for their mindset, avoid negativity, build self-confidence, and consciously shape their future. The chapter can be summarized in one line: the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life.